Lawyers for Karmelo Anthony are filing a notice to appeal his conviction just one day after he was sentenced to 35 years in prison for stabbing and killing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a track meet last week. One prosecutor is detailing how enhanced surveillance video helped the jury reach its verdict.
The strongest piece of evidence is probably the video, because it's not really a credibility thing. You don't have to decide, do you believe this witness or not? If something happened that the video didn't show, then we knew the witness had misremembered or heard something else that they incorporated into their memory. So I think that it was very helpful to have the video.
And the case, which was taking place last week, was regarding that track meet, that infamous track meet that took place last year where Austin Metcalf lost his life. Meanwhile, failed Texas Senate candidate Jasmine Crockett is defending Anthony with this heinous rant about the murder weapon.
Was it a switch? I don't know what he had.
It was like it seemed like it was a multi-tool, almost like a Swiss Army.
Like with like with the little scissors and everything and whatever. So it was small.
Well, I would argue the size of it alone, you wouldn't even think it's a deadly weapon.
If a 300-pound man is beating me, like on top of me and beating me down, I'm not limited to fist.
Here is a fact check for the failed Texas Senate candidate. A weapon, even if it is small, if it kills someone, it is, in fact, a deadly weapon. That is the definition of deadly weapon. Harris, Austin Metcalf, his body was on the ground. It was described as blue and purple. His last words were, "I have been stabbed." He had a gaping hole in his chest. That was a deadly weapon that murdered a soul, a great young man by all accounts, and robbed him from his family.
Yeah, all accounts of the end of life for Austin Metcalf were hell. He was bleeding out very quickly. And so, I mean, to look at him, he literally was losing all of his blood. You can't even imagine. We can't. But what was she talking about with the 300-pound man that she would fight? Who's 300 pounds in this scenario? What, are we talking about a track track athlete? Look at him. Like, and is she saying that she would have done what Karmelo Anthony did? Is she suggesting that she would have taken that same knife? You know, I'm glad in this instance for Jasmine Crockett, especially since she's a sitting member of Congress and has the responsibility to her voters and, you know, all the rest. I'm glad that it's unclear exactly what she meant, because otherwise it sounds like she would have killed somebody that you know, would end up like Austin Metcalf. And 300 pounds, like, I don't know, is she making up boogeymen in her head? I'm not really sure. But we often feel that way about her. She is not needed in this conversation.
Yeah, and Josh, I just want to note that for the people trying to make this about race, there was an important point in our research that at least 5 of the student witnesses who testified were black teammates of Austin Metcalf, who testified Anthony was the aggressor.
Yeah, this had nothing to do with race. Nowhere did race become an issue in that conflict that they initially had before the stabbing. None of the eyewitnesses mentioned race becoming an issue. And yes, you're right. Several of the witnesses that testified for the prosecution were black, talked about Austin Metcalf lovingly. He was a teammate of theirs. Race had nothing to do with this until after the charges and after these action groups got involved and started to polarize people based around this case. But the case had nothing to do with race. And going back to Crockett's comments, how cavalier, when you're talking about a dead 17-year-old, and to be so ill-informed and talk about something that you don't even realize what kind of a weapon was used. You don't even realize the size of the people involved. And to talk about this as if it was something anybody would do. Somebody lost their life and it was entirely unnecessary. And I think the jury got it absolutely right. There was a lot of question about, was this manslaughter? It was murder, and it was worth the time that he was sentenced.
And Karmelo Anthony's lawyers filed papers saying that there is destitution. And I would just note he raised $634,000. That's a lot of money.
Which his family has apparently been spending on living expenses, and they've reportedly moved to Louisiana. Look, maybe the family of Austin Metcalf could use $634,000. By the way, Karmelo Anthony's family originally his mother wanted $1.2 billion, or 1.2 million, excuse me, 1.2 million. But at the same time, those protesters that you mentioned from out of state, well, the reports are many of them were from out of state because they've since just kind of disappeared into the ether. Who is paying for that? I just want to know where the money came from for those groups that were there. Honestly, I'm tired of talking about Karmelo Anthony. Let's talk about Austin Metcalf.
Yeah.
17 years old, and it's heartbreaking. And I hope that the community, and I know that they have been, are really supporting that family right now.
A child when he died, he was a minor.
Yeah. Kaylee.
And some more comments from Jasmine Crockett, because I find them utterly shocking. She also said he simply didn't want to be put out in the rain by some random kid, speaking about Karmelo Anthony. And then she said, 1 time, 2 inches. He didn't stab him 5, 6, 7 times. What is the argument here? Is the argument that we all get 1 free stabbing or 1 free murder? I don't think so, because I think that if the roles were reversed in this situation, we all know which side of this Jasmine Crockett would have come out on. And by the way, if it makes you guys feel any better, she's a licensed criminal defense attorney.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, look, if you're 300 pounds and you go near Jasmine Crockett, I guess she could kill you.
Yeah.
That's what we learned from her.
Yep.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.